Hello, everyone. Welcome to Midweek Gaming. I'm Nick on the side of the comms, of course, Justin providing audio commentary and his own brand of gameplay. Disclaimer before we go forward, this is the second of three videos that we'll be having that is retroactively recorded, which means this is not live in the week where it's actually coming out. So if anything big happened this week and we're not talking about it, I'm sorry. The editor's on vacation. I could do it myself if it's OBS stuff, but if it's not like Activision fell apart or EA declares bankruptcy, it's probably not worth doing.
I
But so
sleep.
So, on the topic of then, however, this video is about Assassin's Creed, a series that, love it or hate it, I particularly like. I am not afraid of saying that. And the controversy surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows. Oh boy, the Yasuke conspiracy. This is going to be called trademark it. So, for those who don't know, Assassin's Creed Shadows is possibly the most long awaited version or entry into the Assassin's Creed series, that being an Assassin's Creed based on Japan and its history. Everyone thought, it's the obvious choice Assassins, Ninjas, Japan. Why haven't they done this yet? And they finally did. After Ghost of Tsushima and constant prodding, they finally did. So, and of course, leave it to Ubisoft to do the most long awaited thing and promptly make controversy with it. So, this is having to do with one of the two playable characters in the game. For those who don't know, as far as we can tell, there are two playable characters in the game, probably similar to some way of kind of like what it was in Syndicate with Jacob and Evie, but in this case it's Yasuke and a name I do not remember. Basically, we have a female ninja and Yasuke, who is a male samurai who is also black. Let me explain. So, for those who don't know their history, Yasuke is a figure in Japanese history that is was a slave, if memory serves. For those history buffs, correct me in the comments. But I think the story goes roughly like this: he was a slave on a slave ship that crashed, and somewhere near Japan, he winds up getting on the actual island itself, survives the shipwreck, winds up going into the service of Nobunaga as a retainer, gets trained on how to fight, the Japanese language, how to read it and write it, becomes Nobunaga's bodyguard, if I'm remembering correctly, and served in that role till the day he died. And as a result of him being the only black samurai in history, he was given by Nobunaga a suit of black samurai armor. I believe it was pure black or something along those lines. To, honor the fact that he was a black man. So, that's Yasuke's history in a relative nutshell. He is being portrayed in Assassin's Creed Shadows as one of the two playable characters. Now, this is not necessarily new itself. He has been portrayed in other media around Japan of a similar time, such as Nihon 2, which actually features Nobunaga and thus Yasuke. However, in this game, he is portrayed as the playable character. So you're thinking, okay, what's the conspiracy? Well, the conspiracy is that for some reason, all the armchair history buffs and possibly a few actual history buffs are coming out of the woodwork going, wait. You're telling he's a samurai, right? Right. Problem? What? He's a retainer, so that's not a samurai. But it is, but it's not. But it is, but it's not. And here we are. So, that's the conspiracy at the moment, where everyone and their mother is talking back and forth about if being a retainer constitutes also being a samurai. My personal opinion is that it does, but apparently not everyone agrees with that. One particular article that we have from the gamer actually states that a Japanese historian himself also says that there is, quote, no doubt that Assassin's Creed Shadows Yasuke was a samurai. So, yes, just because he was a retainer does not mean he was not a samurai. The article states the Japanese historian Hirayama, who has written several books on the Sengoku period, which is the period in which they lived, has weighed on the controversy surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows Yasuke and stated that there is no doubt that he was a samurai in real life. So this is a historian of Japan who has written many books on the Sengoku period, which is the period in which Nobunaga and Yasuke lived, stating that yes, Yasuke was a samurai, despite the fact that he was also a retainer, that those are not mutually exclusive titles. There are many retainers who were many different things, from ninjas to samurais to a bunch of things. Being a retainer does not mean you are not a warrior. It just means that you're in service to the Lord. It also goes on to say that considering how long Assassin's Creed fans have been waiting for a game set in feudal Japan, it's not shocking. Assassin's Creed Shadows, which was formerly known as Red, was unveiled that this would have an issue. So yeah, that's a historian weighing in, saying there is no doubt. I personally have always thought that he was a samurai as well. I don't see why being a retainer was somehow making him not a warrior. Because again, he was a bodyguard, if I'm remembering my history right. And you'd think he'd want a samurai as a bodyguard. Nobunaga may have been progressive, but he's not an idiot last I checked, so. But, so yeah, that's the whole Nobunaga conspiracy, or Nobunaga, that's the whole Yasuke conspiracy. Funny enough, in recent news, however, this has been raging for a while, apparently in more recent news, as of today, July 26th, or 24th, my bad, news has finally gotten so far up the chain that even the Japanese government has been bothered by this matter. In an article by the game's Radar, and the title reads, Assassin's Creed Shadows debate somehow reaches Japanese government ministries who reportedly remind everyone that historical fiction isn't really their concern at all. So, yeah, basically the Japanese government has been pestered by the whole fact of if he is technically a samurai because of his title, and the Japanese government's response is, don't bother us, it ain't our problem, effectively. Basically, it goes something like this. Contrary to online speculation, this is the article I'm quoting, and I quote, contrary to online speculations and reports, Assassin's Creed Shadows is not the subject of heated debate among the Japanese government. Sankei reports that NHK Party representative Satoshi Hamada, I think I pronounced that right, if I'm not my mistake, formally asked Japanese government ministries to comment on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Hamada reportedly cited concerns over historical inaccuracies featured in the new Ubisoft game. Responding, the Japanese Foreign Ministry said that it, quote, simply wasn't their concern, while the Education Ministry offered a boilerplate response to Hamada saying that a game shouldn't violate, quote, public order and morals. The Education Ministry stated further, read that, and I quote, careful handling is required if there are suspicions of content that violates public order and morals. So basically, they're kind of saying that it's not their problem. The article carries on by saying that while some consider the exchange a big deal, Kanda University of International Studies lecturer Jeffrey J. Hall points out on Twitter that questions like Hamada's are more often just performative than not. What's more, the NHK party is so small it's virtually insignificant in the grand scheme of Japanese politics. The group's status as a political party was revoked earlier this year, in January, when the Otsa wing of the National Diet expelled 2 members. And that's as far as we'll go for this article for the sake of brevity. So, as you can see, someone in a small party within the Japanese government that is probably not even a party anymore asked the ministries, to comment on it, and the ministries promptly responded, don't know, not our problem, now go away. So, that's kind of where we have. I find it hilarious, though, that even people are knocking on the doors of the Japanese government now going, please comment on this.
Yeah,
it just kind of shows
they're
you the kind
bothering
of...
them very often about this, and it is likely going to start to annoy them very much.
Possibly. I mean, the article does say that it's apparently not a topic that they're discussing, actually. It was just this one, but I'm certain there are people who are commenting on it.
Yes. And that's a point that I will make, at least, is the fact that chances are, as things kind of continue on as they are, chances are this might end up boiling to becoming a form of political problem later on if this does continue, if people kind of in a way continue to treat it as 100% this is fact, this is what it's supposed to be and everything, then chances are it might end up boiling over to something far bigger later on.
Maybe. I'll play the devil's advocate there and say that it's very unlikely. I mean, by the looks of it, the people who actually have historical clout are saying that no, he was a samurai and that's the end of it. And I imagine the Japanese government will probably just sit back and let it all blow over. Like they themselves say, a game of historical fiction isn't really their forte. So,
No, no. And that's the thing. I don't believe that the Japanese government will care in any regards about it. The fact that it is, this is a video game. This is whatever their story, their history that they've made. They're not going to care about that. But they'll probably start caring when you've got a bunch of representatives from different countries and people going and taking it as the historical fact no matter what they do.
maybe. We'll see. One thing is certain, I mean, let's be honest here. Assassin's Creed has never been known for being all too historically accurate these days. It is true that as a person who's been playing since around Assassin's Creed 3 and retroactively played older games like 2 and Revelations, that back in the day, Assassin's Creed did try to strive for as high historical accuracy as it seems like they could afford,
Yes.
while taking a few creative liberties for the sake of, obviously, it's a video game. But nowadays, they're being a bit more liberal than some people might argue they should be. Though possibly this is a bit of a reining back in of that. I mean, Assassin's Creed Valhalla literally had us going to Valhalla via Isu technology, which, no comment. I remember that scene. It was just as mind-numbingly insane as it sounds. So, yeah, possibly this is them attempting to ring it back in, most likely with another protagonist, because for those who don't know, our second protagonist has been introduced, whose name I can't remember. The girl, she is now with the Void somewhere, sorting timelines with what we're very much assuming is probably Desmond, just as the choreographer, or whatever he calls himself nowadays, trying to prevent the apocalypse again.
Again.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize the Isu might have had an issue with reoccurring apocalypses. They say that apparently humanity's revolution kind of blinded them to the whole solar flare end of world thing, but you'd think that would be a big problem. Who knows? I'm not an ancient civilization, and if the Forerunners taught us anything, is that even the brightest civilizations aren't all that smart, actually. So, there we are. But now that we've got her out of the way, the next game that came out, Assassin's Creed No, it was not Jade. That was a Chinese one. It was oh my goodness, I can't even remember now. Assassin's Creed Mirage. Right. That one didn't actually have an official protagonist because it was all set within the Animus. We're just told that someone within the Assassins was viewing through um, the memories of Basim, who is now Loki, because we're also bringing back Isu now, because reasons. Just to kind of check something that he said, and just to prove that he's not a threat, because despite the fact that he is both A, Isu, and B, extremely sketch even for Isu. So, But we have no idea who that was, so as of Assassin's Creed Mirage, we still have no current present day protagonist. But by Assassin's Creed Shadows, we'll probably have a protagonist, I imagine. So in Assassin's Creed Shadows, we'll probably have a third protagonist. We'll see. I swear I really want to get a customized protagonist and have like a expanded universe similar to like Mass Effect, but that's just me dreaming at this point. But anyways, enough of my own ramblings on the topic. But yeah, that's the current position we find ourselves in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Honestly, I'm not surprised that this is the way it is, because this is a game, like I said, people have been waiting for over a decade now, if memory serves. So it's not surprising that Ubisoft made a controversy along with the thing, and people are going to comb through it for historical inaccuracies. I mean, in fairness, Yasuke, if memory serves, in the trailers is depicted as having dreadlocks, and if I'm not mistaken, dreadlocks was not a hairstyle that existed back then. But
It
hey,
was
I'm not a
not.
hair expert.
I will say this: it 100% was not a hairstyle in Japan. Japan, for the most part,
Absolutely.
had short hair. Like everyone, for the most part, either had short hair or tied up hair. So, eh. Anything further to say? Oh, my apologies. Give me a moment here. I believe my internet has decided to disconnect. There are some weather problems, so that might be part of the problem. Hello, do you hear me again?
Oh, there we go. Sorry
There we
about that,
go.
ladies and gentlemen. When we do these things live, there's always going to be some level of There's always going to be some level of
Some
technical
level of
issues.
historical problems.
Yeah, historically, we've had problems for some reason. TechNuts does not like us. Anyways, as we were
Yes.
saying, you were going on about
Um,
hairstyles.
yes. For the most part, Japan's hairstyles consisted of either
Straight hair,
straight hair, short hair, or tied up hair.
pretty much.
So,
So definitely dreads did not exist during the Sengoku period, unless there's something I'm not remembering. But hey, like I said, when it comes to historical inaccuracies, I'm not going to lose sleep over Yasuke having dreads instead of most likely just straight hair.
yeah.
So, eh. Like I said, Ubisoft has been known these days for somewhat historical inaccuracies. And when it comes to historical accuracies, if all we're limiting them to is his real title, which is in debate, or his real role, I should say, and his hairstyle, I can live with that.
Yeah, these are things that very well can be lived with.
Yeah, it's not like a major issue. So we will see. Although I've heard that they also might make Yasuke gay, which I'll have to get back to you all on that one. That one's a bit more of an accuracy. But then again, I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on
I'm
that one, though.
confused about this one.
Yeah, that's a bomb I just dropped on us all casually, didn't it?
Well,
Again,
no,
let's just
I
pretend.
know what you're referring to, but
I have to
again,
look into that one. I have to look into that one more, but
it's one of those things where it's like, give us a moment. We need to plan and think about this for a second here. Something doesn't
yeah.
seem right.
At the end of the day, though, like I said, it's whatever. It's one of those weirdness
it's
again.
it's kind of, no matter what, overall this is a good display of why it's important to, no matter what, take your games as they are works of fiction. And no matter what, if you try to make it more than a work of fiction, if you try to make it, no matter what, like every time historical fact, you're going to have a group of people who are going to assume it to be true no matter what. And that's kind of the whole reason why this is happening, is there are a group of people who believe it to be true no matter what, and there's not much we can do about that now.
Naoi. That was the name of the Japanese ninja. That was the name of the female protagonist. I don't know. Personally, I would have skipped the whole LGBTQ checkbox thing because I get the feeling Ubisoft did this just for a chess box and just made them a couple. I mean, we've already got the dreads and we've already got.
Let's be honest here. There are a few
That would have been a better
checkboxes.
storyline.
There are a few checkboxes.
There are definitely a few checkboxes. Me, I'd have personally preferred a story where the two of them got together because that would have made it far more interesting, personally. Like, say what you about the whole LGBTQ stuff and the checkbox thing. I personally would have preferred it if they just got together. Not because I'm against LGBT or anything, but just because I thought that probably would be a better story, honestly. And that would be more of an honest reason why they're sticking together. You know?
Yeah.
It'd be more interesting if they were, romantically involved instead of just good friends. But what do I know?
Nick sitting here, a good sucker for love stories.
Maybe, but
Perhaps.
but anyways, that's the whole current position we are on the whole Assassin's Creed controversy. Not gonna lie, I probably will still play it at some point because I do also want to see an Assassin's Creed Japan myself. I was in the crowd that wanted this for a long time, so I will definitely play it when it comes out just to see how it turns out. Not gonna lie, I would actually, if I had the cash on hand at the moment and they weren't all instantly sold out, I would have probably gotten the collector's edition as well because it actually looked pretty good. Not gonna lie. But that's a story for another day.
Not
So
today.
yeah, that's Assassin. Yeah. But anyways, that's Assassin's Creed Shadows in a nutshell. Hopefully we'll see present day protagonist, and we'll just see what comes of all this. Like I said, it's what it is when it comes to these kinds of things. Anyways, see you all next week when we do our third video, which should be my rant on Destiny's timeline. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy that.
He's foaming at the mouth already.
Oh yeah, definitely. Nobody has talked about it. It's annoying. Nobody has talked about this weird inconsistency. At least I'm pretty sure it's an inconsistency. We'll
I
see.
mean, after Nick's talk to me about it, I would say there is a level of inconsistency of it.
Yeah.
But that is for a later date.
Next week.
That is for a later date. A
Next
story
week,
for another time.
All right then, everybody. See you all next week. Have a good one. Have a good weekend, and see you around. Bye bye, everybody.